On the night of February 1st, 1959, 9 experienced hikers abandoned their tent on the slope of a remote mountain in the northern Ural Mountains. They cut through the tent fabric from the inside, fled into temperatures of -30 degrees Celsius, wearing little or no clothing, and scattered into the darkness. 6 of them died of hypothermia. 1 had a fractured skull. 2 had massive chest trauma consistent with the force of a car crash, but with no external wounds. 1 was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. Their bodies were found weeks to months later, spread across a kilometer of snowy terrain. Soviet investigators concluded that an unknown compelling force had caused the deaths. The case was closed. It has never been satisfactorily explained. This is the Dyatlov Pass incident, named after the group's leader, Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. The group consisted of 8 men and 2 women, all experienced hikers and skiers, undertaking a Category 3 expedition, the most difficult classification in the Soviet system, through the northern Urals. Their route would take them across Kholat Syakhl, a peak whose name in the indigenous Mansi language translates roughly to Dead Mountain. The group set out on January 23rd from the city of Sverdlovsk. One member, Yuri Yudin, turned back early due to illness, reducing the party to 9. The last diary entries and photographs, recovered from the tent, date to February 1st. The photos show the group setting up camp on the slope of Kholat Syakhl in deteriorating weather. They pitched their tent, cooked dinner, and settled in for the night. Something happened next that made 9 rational. Experienced people flee their only shelter into a lethal environment. Search parties found the tent on February 26th, partially collapsed and covered in snow. The cuts in the fabric were made from inside. Footprints led downhill toward a nearby tree line, roughly 1.5 kilometers away. The prints showed that some of the hikers were barefoot, some in socks, and some wearing a single boot. Near the edge of the forest, searchers found the bodies of Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko beneath a large cedar tree, dressed only in underwear, with evidence that they had tried to build a fire. Branches of the cedar were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting someone had climbed it, possibly to look back toward the tent. 3 more bodies, those of Dyatlov, Zina Kolmogorova, and Rustam Slobodin, were found at intervals between the cedar and the tent. Their positions suggested they had been trying to return. Slobodin had a hairline skull fracture, but had apparently continued walking after receiving it. All 5 died of hypothermia. The remaining 4 were not found until May, when the snow began to melt. They were in a ravine 75 meters from the cedar tree. They had made a rudimentary shelter and were better dressed than the others, some wearing clothing taken from the bodies of those who had died first. 2 of them, Lyudmila Dubinina and Semyon Zolotaryov, had fatal chest injuries. Dubinina's chest was compressed with a force that the medical examiner compared to that of a vehicle collision, yet there were no surface bruises. Dubinina was also missing her tongue, the floor of her mouth, and both eyes. Zolotaryov was missing his eyes as well. Theories have multiplied for decades. An avalanche is the most commonly proposed natural explanation and was endorsed by Russian prosecutors who reopened the case in 2019. A small slab avalanche hitting the tent at night could explain the panicked exit, the chest injuries from snow compression, and the irrational behavior that follows avalanche burial. Critics note that the slope angle was relatively gentle for avalanche conditions, and that the tent showed no signs of being struck by a large mass of snow. Other theories include infrasound from wind patterns around the mountain peak causing panic, a military weapons test in the area, an altercation with local Mansi people, and various conspiracy theories involving Soviet military operations. The missing soft tissues on Dubinina and Zolotaryov are consistent with natural decomposition in running water, as their bodies were found in a stream bed, but this detail has fueled more exotic theories for decades. What makes Dyatlov Pass endure is not the mystery itself, but its resistance to resolution. Every proposed explanation fits some evidence and contradicts other evidence. The avalanche theory explains the injuries, but not the missing tissues. The military test theory explains the urgency, but not the physical trauma. Each piece of the puzzle seems to belong to a different puzzle entirely. The mountain where they died was officially named Dyatlov Pass in their memory. The case files were classified for decades before being partially released. Some pages remain missing. Whatever happened on that slope on the night of February 1st, 1959, 9 people knew the answer. None of them survived to share it.